1963, and the world is very different from the world that we saw when the Soviet Union finally collapsed and signed a ceasefire agreement with the Germans. From then on, one thing was clear: the world would be clearly divided into two power blocs. The American power bloc on one side representing the free world, and the German power bloc on the other side, representing fascism and its minions. A new Kalter Krieg had begun, the Cold War. But there are still many things that nobody could have predicted, like a third force forming up. Yes, my friends, for what Western people don't understand is that while America might be the leader of the free world, India is the leader of the unfree world. Yes, the unfree world, the downtrodden, the colonized, the people who cannot oppose Hitler because his enemies, the so-called free nations, are doing the same thing in their own colonies in Africa and Asia. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's take a closer look at this world today. One thing is clear: the German Reich, once said to be a brittle, crippling architecture, has risen above the ashes to dominate Europe once again. After the death of Adolf Hitler, Martin Bormann took over control of the German Reich. Under Hitler, Germany had been a personalistic dictatorship, but it had been more of a dictatorship of minions, a sort of mafia. But no, Martin Bormann permanently changed this. In a brief power struggle, he ousted Heinrich Himmler and sent him into exile in SS Odenstadt Burgund. Meanwhile, in the German Reich, Martin Bormann instituted a number of reforms which made him more akin to Joseph Stalin than to Adolf Hitler. He completed the partification of Germany, in that the NSDAP now has total control over all aspects of German life. Only the loyal are chosen. Even under Hitler, there was some kind of appreciation for merit, but no more. Now only loyalty holds strong. Everyone who is loyal is kept, and the chaff is whiffed away. Bormann has also intensified partification inside the Wehrmacht, in that new ideological commissars have been inserted. And this new, extremely ideologically charged Wehrmacht managed to defeat the Soviet Union until the final ceasefire on 1 January 1963. 1 January 1963, coincidentally, it is a date that will forever be remembered in infamy, for two very different reasons. On one side, what remained of the former Soviet Union completely collapsed, and the Nazis completed their final conquest of Upper Eurasia, cementing their power over the entire supercontinent. On the other hand, 1 January 1963 is when dictator of China Chiang Kai-shek lost a power struggle to democratic student protests, and in his place, Chen Cheng of the KMT Democratic Association took over power. Anyway, so this is the German Reich of Bormann, quite similar to Hitler in many aspects, but also quite different. Bormann rules his empire through various minions. The first is Reichskommissariat Ostland, Reichskommissariat Ukraine, Reichskommissariat Moskowen, Reichskommissariat Gotenland, which is basically a Nazi tourist paradise. Then we have Reichskommissariat Caucasian, Reichskommissariat Ural for the Uralic Germans, Reichskommissariat Siberian, which is something of a Wild West. You know, the Nazis really glorify this land. They hold it similar to the American Wild West, where Nazi cowboys do many gamer things to the natives. Let's not discuss it here. And then we have the Far Eastern Confederation under the Commissars Committee. In the Far Eastern Confederation, the Nazis know that their power does not extend beyond a few transportation routes and a few settlements like Vladivostok and Chukchi. Here, the Nazis have tried on a new experiment, that of close collaboration with certain Slavic minority groups. They aim to form a sort of national park for the Slavs in the Far Eastern Confederation. Then we move on to some minor places like Reichskommissariat Banat, which is led by a colonial council which reports directly to Berlin instead of having a Reichskommissar. After that, let us take a look at the remaining fascist sphere. The first is the Kingdom of Denmark under Erik Scavenius. By this point, the king of Denmark has completely lost all of his power. He is basically a bird in a golden cage, and all real power is held by Erik Scavenius and the Party Lost of Denmark, which closely collaborates with Germany. But Germany's one defeat in Europe is that it has not managed to take all of the Balkan and other fascist or orthodox fascist states under its own wing. Those are mostly in the Mediterranean Pact. In the Kingdom of Italy, after the death of Benito Mussolini, Italo Balbo took over power. Balbo wants to institute many reforms in Italy to make fascism more popular among the masses, instead of a strictly authoritarian, father like nationalistic ideology. Then we have the Spanish state, where military dictator Francisco Franco continues to rule strong. A pro Nazi plot by Ramon Serrano Suñer was crushed in the 1950s. The Portuguese Republic saw a revolution against dictator Antonio de Oliveira Salazar called the Carnation Revolution in 1958, and in it Alvaro Cunhal and the communists took over power. They remain a defiant island of communism in a Europe which has otherwise been taken over by fascists and Nazis. Then we have the French state. In 1953, the French Civil War took place after the death of Adolf Hitler. With Germany busy in the power struggle, the Free French under Charles de Gaulle fought against Jacques Doriot's fascists. In the end, with strong German support, Jacques Doriot emerged victorious, and today France remains a defiantly fascist state. But Doriot doesn't answer to Berlin. On the other hand, he's quite defiantly nationalistic and independent. Like Italo Balbo, Jacques Doriot wants to make French fascism a popular ideology of the masses. He holds huge rallies, huge celebrations, and tries to show how his country is independent of German rule. In Reichsprotectorate Norway or in Braise, however, there is more close German collaboration. Earlier, Mordrell's regime is completely bankrolled by the Germans, and there are rumors that Germany uses Brittany, fascist Brittany, as a way to smuggle goods to the free world. And then, of course, we have the Reichsprotektorat Niederlande under Henk Feldschmier, who is another National Socialistic dictator. In the Balkans, a lot of new things have taken place since the 1950s. In 1953, a revolution toppled the Ustase government of Croatia. However, this was short lived. In just 2 years, the Crusaders, a bunch of radical exiled Ustase, came back, and with German backing, they took over control of Croatia once again, establishing an Ustase state more hardline than the previous one. It is now led by Juraj Rukavina. But the things that happened after that are more surprising, because in the war against Hungary and Serbia, the Ustase secured total victory, and now the national state of Hungary is an Ustase puppet state led by Mehmed Alaj Begovic. He is again a standard National Socialist Ustase strongman controlling Hungary like a colony. Similarly, in Serbia, we have longtime Ustase strongman Rafael Boban as a sort of Croatian Reichskommissar of Serbia. Serbs and Hungarians are treated like second class citizens in their own countries. Then we have the state of Montenegro, which is a puppet state of Italy. After that, we have the Slovak Republic, where the clerical fascists were dislodged and Alexander Mark took over. Mark is more directly Nazi and not fascist. As a result, he is favored by Germany to lead Slovakia. He has immediately started putting up various camps. After that, we have Stepan Klochurak's Republic of Carpatho, Ukraine. This is a statelet which is tolerated by the Germans and the Romanians as a good boundary between the two spheres of influences. Romania is a very powerful country, and although it is nowhere as powerful as Germany, it is locally extremely powerful. In fact, the Romanians have formed their own Bucharest Pact. Romania is led by Jorge Alexianu. Under Alexianu, Romania has reached the zenith of its greater borders. He is a reactionary nationalist. In the Tsardom of Bulgaria, Risto Kozarov took over after the death of the previous fascist leader. Risto Kozarov is a military dictator, and he is not a fascist. In fact, he took over as a sort of rebellion against the fascists. But later he turned on the Democrats, and hence there was no democratic revolution in Bulgaria. In Greece, the sun has set on liberty and democracy forever, for Nicholas Bourantas and his ultra radical Nazis of the SB, or the security battalions, have taken over. They want to cleanse Greece of all of its old and new garbage and filth, and they wish to establish a pure Aryan state akin to ancient Sparta. They do a lot of things that cannot really be mentioned in this video. The one state that managed to successfully escape the clutches of the Germans is the Republic of Norway. Although the Germans maintain a naval base at Nordstern, the Norwegian Revolution of 1953 successfully dislodged the German collaborator government of Vidkun Quisling. After that, Norway joined the Toronto Accords, and the Germans dare not invade Norway again lest they risk nuclear war. Sweden and Finland remain much the same. In Finland, Carl Gustav Mannerheim's dictatorship was replaced by Jukka Rangel's national liberal democracy. The Italians, meanwhile, maintain their colony of Italian East Africa quite intact. Another German collaborator is the state of Iran under Fazlollah Zahedi. The state of Iran won the short civil war of 1952 against the Democrats. Fazlollah Zahedi is quite inspired from German National Socialism, and he is a proper German stooge in Iran. Another German stooge is the independent state of Turkestan. It is led by Veli Qayyum Khan. They wish to establish a pan-Turkic fascist state in Central Asia, and they have succeeded in their ambition. And the independent state of Turkestan collaborated with the Germans to destroy the Soviet Union in the war of 1959 to 1963. And now they are successful. They slowly aim to reconquer all of Central Asia to regain the lost glory of the Turks. Finally, we come to the free world. The United Kingdom sits battered on the other side of the North Sea, unwilling to do anything. After 10 years of conservative rule, Harold Wilson has won the election of 1958, and the Labour Party is now in power. The Labour Party has enacted sweeping reforms all across England, and they also aim to have a détente with the Germans if possible. In America, the Germans like to joke that the Americans fought for liberty, but the Democratic Party of the Americans itself is a sort of dictatorship. For since the times of Franklin Delano Roosevelt in 1932 to 1963, for 31 straight years, the Democratic Party has won every single elections. First, we had Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Then we had Wallace. After that, we had Estes Kefauver 2 times. And now, in the recent elections of 1960, Joseph Kennedy Jr. has won the elections. The Democratic Party continues to win elections because it keeps on promising more and more reforms. In an era where the enemy is Nazism, the people want liberty to differentiate themselves from the darkness of unfree Europe. In Canada, similarly, the market liberal LPC party of Louis St. Laurent continues to win. The Liberal Party, it just promises liberalism. What else can I say about it? In Turkey, İsmet İnönü's Kemalism continues strong. In 1964, the Turks invaded Syria when Anton Sade invaded parts of Lebanon for his dream of ensuring Greater Syria. Anton Sade was defeated and the Turks annexed the region of Aleppo completely to Turkey. In Syria, Turkey set up a puppet state with the help of Israel. It is now led by Hassim al-Attasi. Lebanon is again a liberal state under Kamil Chamoun, who keeps Lebanon neutral from all other Middle Eastern affairs. The Arab Federal Republic is again under Ali Jawdat al-Ayyubi. But before I proceed, let me show you the unfree world and introduce you to the ideology of Subhashism. In 1948, when the Soviet Union was falling, Subhash Chandra Bose crawled back to India. He intended to set up a guerrilla movement, a rebellion against the British. But to his own surprise, the British Indian Army revolted. Every single soldier and navy man revolted. They took over the army cantonments. They took over the naval bases in an eerie recollection of the revolt of 1857. And in one stroke, the British Raj was dead, to be replaced by Subhash Chandra Bose's dictatorship. Bose is neither communist nor nationalist. He is a national communist. His Subhashist ideology calls for the liberation of the oppressed world. While America is the leader of the free world, India has become the leader of the unfree world, with Subhashism serving as an example to countless comrades throughout Asia, Africa, and the whole world. Bose wants to liberate the world one at a time, and he has been quite successful in this endeavor. For 10 long years, a Cold War or a mini Cold War ensued between the Republic of China of Chiang Kai-shek and Subhash Chandra Bose. China had established its own non-allying treaty organization or NATO. Now, with the events of 1 January 1963, Chiang Kai-shek is gone and with him, NATO is also gone. Subhash Chandra Bose's International Compact for Mutual Aid has won the Cold War in Asia and now stands as a defiant third power in the world. I say third because the Mediterranean Pact is nothing more than a German stooge, just not so much. Let us take a quick look at all of the countries that Subhash Chandra Bose managed to wrest control of from China. The first is Tibet. Now, Tibet is part of the International Compact for Mutual Aid. It is not shown on this map. In Tibet, there is an ideology called the New Line Thought of Mao Zedong. See, Subhash Chandra Bose has declared that he is the ideological successor of Joseph Stalin and Mao Zedong. Similar to how Mao Zedong declared his own ideology of Maoism, which was distinct from Stalinism, Bose has declared Subhashism, which focuses more on nationalism than Stalin or Mao. Despite this, murals and propaganda posters throughout India and throughout the International Compact for Mutual Aid shows Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong and Subhash Chandra Bose in one propaganda poster. Tibet is, however, ruled by a more orthodox Maoist ideology. The Kingdom of Lo is a small Indian puppet state under Angun Tenzing Trandau, similar to the Kingdom of Bhutan. Now the International Compact for Mutual Aid does not require its members to strictly be Subhashis. While some of its members are indeed socialists, like Mir Akbar Khyber's Democratic Republic of Afghanistan, in which Subhash Chandra Bose betrayed his own ally King Amanullah Khan and incited a socialist revolution in Kabul in 1959. Or the People's Republic of Burma, where Bose betrayed his own ally U Nu, and in his place he supported Pakin Thanthu's Subhashist Marxist rebellion, which succeeded with overwhelming support. Once more, in the Republic of Sri Lanka, Subhash Chandra Bose incited the Tamil minority to declare a rebellion. And when they rebelled, India supported them in huge numbers with arms and ideology. Eventually, S.G.V. Chel Vanayakam's ITAK, Federal Party of the Tamils, took over. A huge part for why Chiang Kai shek lost the Cold War for Asia is his total defeat in Vietnam. For 10 long years, the Socialist Republic of Vietnam fought the Chinese backed Republic of Vietnam. Subhash Chandra Bose declared total support for Ho Chi Minh's Socialist Republic of Vietnam. And with the fall of Hanoi in 1961, the Republic of Vietnam collapsed, after which Chiang Kai shek started to lose his own power in China, which resulted in his downfall. Despite this, the other neighboring countries remain at peace, like the Kingdom of Thailand, the Kingdom of Cambodia, the state of Laos, which has recently given autonomy to the Hmong community, and the autonomous regional government of Champasa. Again, it is important to note that Ho Chi Minh is not a Subhashist. Similar to the Filipino communists who came to power after a revolution in 1955, which are more like red anarchists, these people they swear fealty to Subhash Chandra Bose not because they agree with his exact ideology, but because they agree with his ideology of a free world, being the leader of the unfree world. That is also the reason why Turkey, Syria, Palestine, Israel, Lebanon, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Muttal Wakilit Kingdom of Yemen, and the Imamate of Oman support Subhash Chandra Bose. In fact, Subhash Chandra Bose helped the Imamate of Oman win its civil war against the Kingdom of Oman in the 1950s. There are a few minor states here, like the Emirate of Bukhara, the state of Kyrgyzstan, the Tajik national state. In the Democratic Republic of Korea, Liu Woon-young's Social Democratic PPK continues to win every single elections since the early 1950s. They are social democrats who never want to see a repeat of Japanese or Chinese conquests of Korea. In Japan itself, the Minshuto party continues to dominate. It is preferred by the Americans as their favorite party, especially after the fall of the Philippines, which has sent shockwaves across the Toronto Accords. Malaysia and the Republic of Indonesia remain loyal allies of the Americans, similar to Australia and New Zealand. Latin America remains pretty much the same. In Mexico, the PRI continues its dictatorship, which has been going on since the Mexican Revolution in the 1910s and 1920s. In the Republic of Cuba, the American government incited Fulgencio Batista to launch a corrective revolution to remove the old democratic government and replace it with an American stooge. In the Republic of Haiti, Paul Magloire's reactionary nationalist dictatorship continues, but it is completely opposed by the Dominican Republic, where Juan Bosch has recently come to power after the fall of longtime Dominican dictator Trujillo. Juan Bosch has won the brief civil war in the Dominican Republic, which took place in the 1950s, and he defeated Trujillo's supporters. Now, Bosch aims to free Cuba and Haiti also of its own dictators. He has formed a temporary alliance with the Republic of Guatemala, which is a revolutionary agrarian socialist state which opposes America, opposes Germany, and might soon join Subhash Chandra Bose's International Compact for Mutual Aid. It remains to be seen when. Unlike the Dominican Republic, Nicaragua's dictator Anastasio Somoza Garcia continues his rule as normal. In the state of Peru, Manuel Odria, who was a semi-fascist pro-German dictator, found himself backstabbed by Berlin as German-backed fascists under Luis Flores marched on Lima to imitate Mussolini's march on Rome in 1956, and they dislodged Odria from power, and now Peru is a defiant pro-German fascist state in the heart of South America. Luis Flores is now America's enemy number one, as he directly threatens the Monroe Doctrine. In the Republic of Brazil, normal democratic elections continued, similar to the Republic of Bolivia or the popular Argentine Republic, where the socialists under Alfredo Palacios have won a shock victory in the recent elections. In the Republic of Chile, Oscar Allende won the elections in the 1950s. He was a socialist who wanted to pursue ambitious land reforms and align Chile with the then Soviet Union, which used to exist. However, his plans were foiled when Oscar Izurrieta Molina marched on Santiago and Oscar Allende was forced to commit suicide, after which the Republic of Chile became a Christian leftist military dictatorship. See, Oscar Molina does not oppose socialism. In fact, he calls himself a socialist. He is a Christian socialist. He does not want to oppose Christianity or the old world. Instead, he wants to mix the two. And he completely opposes both fascism, bourgeoisie democracy, and communism. Another German ally in the heart of South America is the Republic of Paraguay under Alfredo Stroessner. Alfredo Stroessner is a brutal reactionary nationalist dictator who sends hundreds of thousands of people to camps. People jokingly say that the Republic of Paraguay is a one big prison camp. Welcome to Ascension. While this was the condition of the rest of the world, in Africa a lot of revolutionary states have seized power, and now Africa is one big fighting bloc between the free world and the unfree world. But first, let me show you those who are allies of Subhash Chandra Bose, beginning with the Democratic Republic of Sudan, where Subhash Bose incited a rebellion or a coup by Ghaffar Nimyeri, who removed Ismail al-Azri's government and established an Arab socialist dictatorship in Sudan. Then we have the Ugandan Republic, which is conservative but still supports Subhash Chandra Bose. Then we have the Republic of Kenya, which is another socialistic state. The Republic of Tanzania under Julius Nyerere. Nyerere wants to combine African traditional beliefs with Subhashism to create a new thing called Ujamaa, an ideology for Africa, or as many like to call it, African Subhashism. Then we have Uganda under Milton Obote, the Kingdom of Rwanda, and the Kingdom of Burundi, which are monarchies but they are still aligned with India. After that, we have Angola, which is more orthodox communists. Despite this, they align with India because they believe in liberating the free world. Then we have the People's Republic of Niger, where Djibo Bakari came to power after assassinating longtime pro-French dictator Modibo Keita. After that, we have the Azawadi Socialist Republic under Azizul Ag Mayas, then the People's Republic of Mali, the Socialist Republic of Senegal, the Socialist Republic of Guinea, Sierra Leone, the Socialist Republic of Cote d'Ivoire, the Republic of Ghana under Kwame Nkrumah, which was actually one of the first countries which Subhash Chandra Bose managed to liberate from British rule. Let me show you an ideological map of the world. As you can see, fascism is the dominant ideology all over the world. But despite this, Subhashism and different strains of socialism continue to dominate Africa. Japan is socialist, America is liberal, and much of Northern Europe is social democratic or social liberal. Now, coming back to the treaty organizations, the ones who prefer a more direct approach with the American sphere of influence are the Federal Republic of Nigeria under Nnamdi Azikiwe, who is, very surprisingly enough, a Kemalist in Nigeria. Yes, Nnamdi Azikiwe wants to become the Kemal Pasha of Nigeria by pushing back religion and conservatism to create a nationalistic, forward-thinking ideology. He believes that Subhash Chandra Bose's alliance will simply send Nigeria back to poverty. Another close ally is the Republic of Chad under Francisco Tombalabye. Then we have the People's Union of Cameroon. Now, the People's Union of Cameroon is a very weird statelet. Initially, Ruben Umnyobe's state came to power as a rebellion against British rule inspired by Subhash Chandra Bose. But in the next few years, Ruben Umnyobe declared that Subhash Chandra Bose had become a revisionist. He was no longer true to the ideology of Subhashism. Ruben Umnyobe now considers himself to be the true forebearer of Subhash Chandra Bose. Cameroon is now a pariah state, which is away from the Germans, away from the Americans, and away from the Indians, and also away from the Chinese. A state more radically Subhashist than even Subhash Chandra Bose. Then we have the pathetic French government in exile under Charles de Gaulle. After their total defeat in the French Civil War, the French are in exile in the French Congo. The Republic of Congo under Patrice Lumumba. Initially, when Patrice Lumumba came to power in 1951, it was thought that having opposed Belgium, he would immediately join Subhash Chandra Bose's International Compact for Mutual Aid. But instead, Lumumba proved to be a shrewd statesman. He did not join Subhash Chandra Bose and has remained neutral and non-ally. Although there are rumors that he was planning to join the Non-Aligned Treaty Organization or NATO of China, but after the collapse of Chiang Kai-shek, Lumumba is now isolated like Cameroon. Another pariah state is the Union of South Africa. While South Africa is liberal conservative, their racist policies, while nowhere as racist as the opposing National Party, still make them quite unpalatable to the free world, and thus South Africa is the pariah state. Then we have the Malagasy Republic. The Malagasy Republic has a very shaky relationship with India. See, India backstabbed its own allies like Amanullah Khan in Afghanistan or UNU in Burma. Similarly, Subhash Chandra Bose was friends with Gabriel Ramanath Soa until the 1950s. But then Subhash Chandra Bose tried to backstab him by inciting Subhashist rebels in the Malagasy Republic. The attempted revolution was crushed, and since then the Malagasy Republic hates Subhash Chandra Bose. And that, my friends, is the fate of the world in 1963. A world torn apart by three power blocs of the Nuovo Ordnung, the Toronto Accord, and the International Compact for Mutual Aid. While two minor alliances, the Mediterranean Pact and the Bucharest Pact, remain as their own defiant power blocs, while some adamantly claim to be more radical than the governments that they are inspired from. It is now quite clear that Germany will dominate Eurasia for much to come, but not in its entirety. As more and more nations join Subhash Chandra Bose, the Germans might be pushed out of southern Eurasia. China, now having lost its Cold War against India, will have no other option but to have closer relationships with the Germans, especially because the Americans have done nothing to help the Chinese against the growing tide of Subhashism. With all this, Eurasia is doomed, and only time will tell who wins the struggle for Eurasia.